She flashed her fake badge and shouted, "Step out of the car right now!" I blinked, confused for a second, not because I was scared, but because the woman standing in front of my truck was wearing a fluorescent vest that said HOA Security. She had blocked the narrow neighborhood road with an orange cone and a golf cart with flashing lights taped to the top. I rolled down my window slowly. "Ma'am, is there a reason you pulled me over?" Her lips curled into a smirk. "You're speeding through our community and you don't belong here. License and registration." I glanced around. Two more HOA officials were standing behind her, one holding a walkie-talkie, the other filming on his phone like they were in a TV show. My dog barked in the passenger seat, sensing something off. "I didn't know HOA had cops now," I said calmly, my tone dry. She slammed her clipboard against the car. "Don't test me, sir. You're trespassing. We have authority here." I almost laughed, but I didn't. Instead, I leaned back, watching her reflection in my mirror. She was trying hard to look official. Shiny fake badge, plastic belt, and even a taser holster that looked like a toy. I stayed quiet, letting her dig her own hole. "Step out of the vehicle," she barked again, "or I'll call the sheriff." That was cute, because I was the sheriff. Well, close enough. California Highway Patrol, 7 years on the job, currently off duty, visiting my uncle's property right inside this HOA neighborhood. I pushed open my doors slowly, hands visible. She backed up, hand hovering over her toy taser like she was about to make an arrest. "You really want me to step out?" I asked softly. She nodded, puffing her chest. "Now you're going to learn what happens when you disrespect the HOA." I stepped out fully, calm as ever. My badge chain hung loose around my neck, not showing, but close enough. She started reading off some made-up HOA rule about unauthorized vehicles and community patrol rights. I just watched her, quiet. Then she said something that crossed the line. "You're lucky I don't tow this truck right now. We own this road." That's when I smiled. "You sure about that?" Her voice faltered. "Yes, the HOA manages—" I reached into my jacket and slowly flipped open my actual badge, the real California Highway Patrol insignia gleaming in the sunlight. Her face drained of color. "Ma'am—"
Her fake badge trembled in her hand as the sound of real police sirens grew louder. The flashing blue and red lights turned the quiet neighborhood into a scene straight out of a movie. She stuttered, trying to act confident. "We called them first. They're coming for you." I tilted my head, amused. "Oh, really? Let's see who they're here for then." 2 squad cars rolled up, tires crunching against the pavement. The real sheriff stepped out, a guy I'd worked with before, Deputy Miller. He recognized me immediately. "Mike? What the hell's going on?" Before I could answer, Karen, that's what her name tag said, jumped in front of him, waving her arms dramatically. "Officer, arrest him! He's trespassing, impersonating an officer, and threatening me." Miller blinked, then looked at me. "She serious?" I pulled out my real ID and badge, letting the gold shine under the sunlight. Miller's jaw tightened. He turned back to Karen. "Ma'am, this is Officer Michael Ross, California Highway Patrol. You just tried to detain him, illegally." The silence that followed was golden. Even the fake HOA guards took a step back. Karen's face twisted in disbelief. That can't be real. We checked his plates." I chuckled. "Oh, I'm sure you did. Thing is, Karen, this isn't your road. It's a state-maintained public access. You can't block traffic, and you definitely can't play cop." Her voice started shaking. "We were just enforcing community safety. People like him—" "People like me what?" I said, stepping closer, my tone low but steady. "The ones who actually protect the law, or the ones who don't need fake badges to feel important?" Miller crossed his arms. You're lucky, lady. Impersonating an officer is a felony. Blocking a public road, that's another charge. Karen panicked. No, it's not what it looks like. It was just a misunderstanding. My HOA board approved it. Then your board just bought themselves a stack of citations, Miller said flatly. As he spoke, I noticed something odd. One of her fake officers was nervously texting on his phone, glancing back at me again and again. I caught his reflection in my side mirror. He wasn't scared. He was alert, calculating. My instincts kicked in. Hey, Miller, I said, quietly. Hold up. That guy's trying to... Before I could finish, the man bolted toward their golf cart, yanked open a compartment, and pulled something out. Not a weapon, but a stack of documents and photos. He threw them into the air, and papers scattered across the street like confetti. Karen screamed, "No, you idiot!" I grabbed one of the flying pages before it hit the ground. What I saw made my stomach tighten. It wasn't random paperwork. It was property records. My uncle's property. My name. Even my badge number. They'd been digging into me. I looked at her coldly. You weren't just playing cop. You were setting me up. Her face went pale. She stepped back, whispering, You weren't supposed to find that." I took a slow step forward. "And you weren't supposed to stop me today." Behind me, Miller called for backup, but I didn't take my eyes off her, because something told me this wasn't just a fake arrest, it was part of something bigger.
Karen's hands were shaking now, her fake authority completely stripped away. Papers still fluttered down the street, some landing on windshields, others in the dirt. One sheet stopped right at my boots. A printed email chain with HOA letterheads, and right there in bold was my name. Miller crouched beside me, picking up a few more pages. "Mike, these look official. They've got your file numbers, your address, even your shift schedule." I clenched my jaw. That's internal info. There's no way an HOA should have this. Karen stammered. "It's no you think. We were told to monitor strange activity. He's been parking here for weeks." "On my uncle's property," I cut her off. "You're trespassing on our land." Her mouth twitched. "You can't prove that." I pulled my phone from my jacket and opened the county records site. A few taps, and my name popped up as co-owner. I turned the screen toward her. "Want me to zoom in, Karen?" Her lips moved, but no words came out. Miller whistled under his breath. "You picked the wrong guy to mess with." But I wasn't celebrating. My mind was racing. Someone had fed them my personal data. Karen wasn't smart enough to get it herself. She was just a pawn. I looked at the guy who had thrown the papers. He was already gone. The golf cart was missing, engine whining faintly in the distance. "Miller," I said sharply, "we've got a runner." He radioed in, calling for units to block the exits. But something about this whole thing was off. HOA bullies didn't just hack into state records. Whoever was behind this wanted me targeted. Karen suddenly dropped to her knees. "Please, I didn't mean for it to go this far. He said if we didn't help, they'd shut down the HOA. He said you were dirty." I crouched down beside her. "Who's he?" She looked up, tears mixed with mascara. "A man from the city office. Said you were under investigation. He showed us documents. Said if we helped expose you, the HOA would get funding back." Miller's eyes narrowed. "City office? That's not right. No one's investigating Mike." I frowned. What'd he look like? She hesitated. "Tall, gray suit, badge, maybe fake, maybe not. Called himself Inspector Daniels." I froze. I knew that name. Daniels had been on suspension for leaking case files, and last I heard, he'd vanished after being caught selling info to private groups. So now he was back, and using the HOA to bait me. Karen whispered, "He said you weren't supposed to survive today." My stomach dropped. I looked around. The quiet cul-de-sac suddenly felt too still, too empty. No birds, no sound, just the soft creak of wind through trees. Then I saw it. A black SUV parked down the street, windows tinted, darker than legal. It hadn't been there when I drove in. I muttered, "Miller, eyes on that car." He followed my gaze, hand already on his sidearm. "Is that yours?" I shook my head slowly. "No. But I think our real problem just showed up." Miller's hand hovered near his holster as the black SUV's engine rumbled to life. Its headlights blinked once, like a silent warning. Karen whimpered, backing away toward the curb. I motioned for her to stay down and whispered, "Don't move." The SUV started rolling forward slowly, too slowly. My pulse quickened. Whoever was inside wanted us to see them coming. I stepped slightly in front of Miller, my instincts taking over. "Dispatch," Miller said quietly into his radio, "possible hostile vehicle, HOA Ridgeway Drive." Before he could finish, the SUV screeched and sped toward us. Miller pulled me down behind the patrol car, just as the vehicle swerved, grazing the mirror and tearing through the scattered papers. The wind from its tires whipped dirt into the air. "Tag number!" I shouted. "None!" Miller yelled back. "Plates are covered!" I sprinted toward my truck, pulled the dash cam footage on my phone, and zoomed in on the SUV's rear. A sticker on the bumper, faint but visible, read, "Daniels and Assoc, Security Solutions." There it was. Confirmation. The same Daniels who'd vanished months ago after leaking police data. He wasn't hiding, he was building a network, using HOAs and private contracts to control neighborhoods like his personal playground. The SUV turned a corner hard, tires screeching, and disappeared past the gates. Real units would catch him at the next intersection, but I wasn't waiting around. I climbed into my truck, engine roaring to life. Miller yelled, "Mike, don't!" "I'm not losing him again," I said, flooring the gas. We tore through the quiet streets, the HOA golf carts scattered out of the way. Karen stood frozen in the mirror's reflection, her fake badge lying in the dust. Up ahead, the SUV tried to merge onto the highway, but that's my territory. I hit the siren, full blast, and the road opened up. The driver panicked, swerving too fast, tires catching the shoulder. In one quick move, the vehicle spun, fishtailed, and slammed into the guardrail. I jumped out before the smoke cleared. The driver stumbled out, coughing. Tall, gray suit, just like Karen said. "Daniels," I said, pulling my weapon just enough for him to see. "End of the road." He looked up, smirking. "You think this ends with me? You have no idea how deep it goes." I walked closer, eyes locked on his. "Maybe not, but I know one thing, you messed with the wrong patrol." Backup arrived seconds later. Miller cuffed him while I turned off the siren. The whole thing felt surreal. A fake HOA, dirty intel, and a disgraced officer trying to cover his tracks by framing me. As they loaded Daniels into the cruiser, Karen's voice cracked through the radio. "I'm sorry, Officer Ross. I didn't know." I stared at the horizon for a long moment. That's the thing about pretending to be in control, Karen. Sooner or later, you meet someone who really is. Later that evening, as the sun dropped behind the hills, Miller stood beside me, shaking his head. "Man, you sure know how to turn a neighborhood complaint into a full-on takedown." I gave a tired smile. "Guess the HOA picked the wrong driver to pull over." He laughed. "What now?" "Now," I said, looking at the wrecked SUV being towed away, "I make sure no one ever uses a badge, fake or real, to scare people again." The wind carried the faint sound of sirens fading into the night. I looked down at my uniform, brushed the dust off, and whispered, "I protect the highways, not the egos." Justice served. And somewhere in that quiet neighborhood, the sign reading HOA Patrol Zone was quietly taken down by morning.